Hi everyone. Today's topic is going to be cortisol. Have you ever received one simple email that says, "Can we talk?" And suddenly your brain starts writing your resignation letter, your farewell speech, and your new life plan as a goat farmer in the mountains? Or maybe you hear your phone ring and immediately think something has gone terribly wrong. Or you see one missed call from an unknown number and your body reacts like you just saw a tiger wearing a tax officer badge. That, my friends, is your stress system doing a full Bollywood action sequence inside your body. And one of the main character in this drama is called cortisol. Yes, that is cortisol. The hormone that helps you survive danger, wake up in the morning, handle pressure, and occasionally convince you that forgetting one password means your entire life is falling apart. Today we are going inside your body to understand how cortisol controls stress, energy, anxiety, focus, sleep, and why your brain sometimes treats a small inconvenience like a national emergency. Before we begin, please like this video so my cortisol knows we are safe and my dopamine gets a tiny reward, and subscribe because apparently my nervous system enjoys external validation. Now, let's talk about the hormone that turns "I have a meeting" into "I may not survive today." What is cortisol? Cortisol is often called the stress hormone, but cortisol is not evil. It is not sitting inside your body wearing sunglasses and saying, "Let's ruin this person's peace." Cortisol is actually important. It helps your body respond to stress. It helps regulate your energy, blood sugar, inflammation, blood pressure, and even your sleep wake cycle. Basically, cortisol is your body's emergency manager. When your brain thinks something important or dangerous is happening, cortisol says, "Okay, everyone, emergency meeting, heart beat faster, muscles get ready, brain focus, stomach pause the digestion. We may need to run." Very helpful if you're actually being chased by a tiger. Less helpful if a tiger is your inbox. Because modern life has created a very strange problem. Your body was designed to handle short bursts of danger, but now instead of one tiger, we have emails, deadlines, bills, traffic, group chats, 100 messages, notifications, and people who say, "Let's circle back." Your body is like, "Why are there 47 tiny tigers around?" Now you come to think of it, like cortisol is not always bad. Cortisol gets a bad reputation. People hear cortisol and think, "Oh no, stress, bad, remove it." But you actually need cortisol. In the morning, cortisol naturally rises to help wake you up. That is your body saying, "Good morning, please become a functioning human." Without cortisol, you would probably wake up like a phone on 2% battery. So, cortisol also helps you perform under pressure. A little stress can help you focus before an exam, a presentation, a workout, or an important task. That small cortisol boost can say, "Hey, pay attention, this matters." So, cortisol is not the villain. Cortisol is more like a security guard, helpful when there is real danger, annoying when it starts tackling people for entering the building with a sandwich. So, the problem is not cortisol itself. The problem is when cortisol stays high for too long. That is when your body starts saying, "Are we still in danger?" It has been like 3 weeks, and your brain replies, "Yes, the email is still unread." The ancient brain in a modern world. Here is the funny part: your brain is very advanced. It can solve equations, learn languages, build rockets, and remember embarrassing things you said in 2014. But when it comes to stress, part of your brain is still extremely old school. It does not always know the difference between the real physical danger and your boss saying, quick question. To your stress system, both can feel urgent. So, when something stressful happens, your body activates the fight or flight response. Fight means I will handle this, flight means I am leaving, freeze means I will stare at the screen and do absolutely nothing. And modern humans have invented a fourth response: open the fridge for no reason, because stress does not always make us productive. Sometimes stress makes us stand in the kitchen at 11:30 p.m. eating shredded cheese directly from the bag like a raccoon with responsibilities. So your body thinks it is helping, it gives you energy, but if there is nowhere for that energy to go, it turns into anxiety, restlessness, irritability, overthinking, or that mysterious urge to reorganize your entire house instead of doing one important task. Now, cortisol and overthinking. Cortisol can make your brain more alert. That sounds good. But too much alertness becomes overthinking. Your brain starts running simulations like, what if this goes wrong? What if they misunderstood me? What if I failed? What if everyone knows I accidentally said you too when the waiter said, enjoy your meal? Cortisol loves what if. It is basically your brain opening 72 browser tabs, and 68 of them are disaster scenarios, and one of them is playing music, but you cannot find which one. When stress is high, your brain becomes very good at spotting problems, but not always good at solving them. It becomes like a security camera with a panic button. It notices everything. Look, a deadline. Look, a bill. Look, the person replied with just okay. Are they angry? And suddenly your brain becomes a detective, but not a good detective, a dramatic detective. The kind that sees a period at the end of a text message and says, this relationship is over. This is why stress can make small things feel huge. Cortisol turns the volume up. A normal task becomes scary, a small mistake becomes a crisis, a delayed reply becomes a mystery thriller. Cortisol and sleep. Now let's talk about sleep, because cortisol and sleep have a very interesting relationship. Ideally, cortisol should be higher in the morning and lower at night. Morning cortisol says, wake up, let's do life. Nighttime cortisol should say, okay, we are done, please become a peaceful potato. But modern life often does the opposite. At night, you finally lie down and room is quiet and lights are off and your brain says, wonderful. Now let us review every unresolved problem from the last 6 months. Suddenly your mind becomes a late night committee meeting. At 11:47 p.m. your brain says, remember that email? We should think about it now at 12:15 a.m. What if we forgot something important at 1 2 a.m.? Let's calculate the meaning of life and also whether we lock the door. This is one reason stress can disturb sleep. Your body cannot easily relax if it thinks you are still in danger. You cannot sleep peacefully while your nervous system is standing at the door holding a flashlight. And then the next morning, you wake up tired, you drink coffee, you push through the day, you get more stressed, then you sleep badly again, and the cycle continues. Your cortisol is basically saying, I'm just doing my job, and you're saying, please stop working overtime. The cortisol trap. The cortisol trap happens when stress becomes your normal operating system. You get used to rushing, you get used to worrying, you get used to being busy, you get used to checking messages constantly, and eventually calm starts to feel suspicious. You sit quietly for 5 minutes and your brain says, something is wrong. Why are we not panicking? This is when your body starts treating rest like a threat. You may feel guilty when you relax. You may feel uncomfortable doing nothing. You may keep yourself busy just to avoid feeling anxious. That is the cortisol trap. Your body becomes addicted to urgency, not because you enjoy stress, but because stress becomes familiar. You start measuring your worth by how exhausted you are, and that is dangerous. Because being constantly overwhelmed is not a personality trait, it's not a productivity system, it's not a badge of honor. It's your nervous system asking for a vacation, preferably one without Wi Fi. But let's be realistic. How to use this cortisol better? So, how do we manage cortisol in a healthier way? First, move your body. Stress gives your body energy. So movements gives that energy somewhere to go. So walk, stretch, dance, exercise, clean, do something physical. Your body says, "Ah, yes, we use the emergency fuel good." Second, breathe slower. I know breathing advice sounds too simple, but your nervous system listens to your breath. Fast breathing says emergency, and slow breathing says maybe we are not being eaten today. Try longer exhales. And third, reduce fake emergencies. Not every notification deserves your attention. Your phone should not be your emotional fire alarm. Turn off unnecessary notifications. Check messages at chosen times. Do not let every beep control your nervous system. Fourth, create a shutdown routine. At night, your brain needs a signal that the day is ending. Write tomorrow's task down, close the laptop, dim the lights, do something calm. Tell your brain, we are not solving life tonight. Office hours are closed. Fifth, separate real problems from imagined or imaginary problems. Ask yourself, is this happening right now? Or am I predicting it? Because cortisol loves predictions, but not all predictions are facts. Sometimes your brain says, what if everything goes wrong? And you can reply, thank you for the horror movie, but I'm not buying a ticket today. So, cortisol is not your enemy. Cortisol helps you wake up, respond to challenge, focus under pressure, and survive real danger. But in modern life, cortisol can get confused. It sees emails, deadlines, notifications, and awkward conversations and says, tiger, 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 run, run. So the goal is not to eliminate the cortisol. The goal is to teach your body what is actually urgent and what is just life being slightly annoying. Because when cortisol works for you, it gives you energy, but when cortisol controls you, everything feels like an emergency. So, next time your brain panics over a small problem, pause and ask, is this a tiger or is it just an email? If this video helped calm your nervous system even slightly, please like, subscribe, and comment below. What is your biggest fake tiger? Emails, deadlines, phone calls, notifications, or something texting? Can we talk? Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video, hopefully with the lower cortisol. Bye bye.